Hi everyone, in this video we are going to build a complete weather app using React and Tailwind CSS. It's going to be a progressive web app, means user can install it on their phone and desktop. We will use OpenWeather Map API to get real-time weather data and 5-day forecast details. Let me show you what the final look. So here user can search by the city name, and first of all we will go the progressive web application. So user will click on this install button. After that it will ask for the installation process. So simple, just user will click on install and this app will be installed on their system and user can use it just like a normal application. So let's try the API. So we'll type the city name just like a London and press enter. So here are weather details. So just like here on the top we have current weather details, and on the bottom we have 5 days forecast with each hour details. So this is the WellBe application we are going to build. So at the end of this video we will not just add a link for the project. At the end we will also able to learn the React. So this is totally beginner friendly video in which we will learn everything from scratch. I will explain you and hopefully you will be ready for the interviews as well. So let's get started. If you are new to this channel, consider subscribing for more projects like this, and let's build this together. Before writing any line of code, we have to make sure we have installed Node and npm on our machine. So I have already opened command prompt. You can open. In the command prompt, just write node -v. This will tell you node version if installed. Just like in my case, I have installed 25. There, if in your case is 18, 19, 20, it will also okay. So after that, we will check npm -v. This will telling the node package manager version, just like I have 11. In your case maybe 8, 9 or 10, that is totally okay. Just we have to make sure we have installed both node and npm on our machine. After that we will create a folder on our machine, just like I'm creating with weather app. So after that we will move towards the VS Code and open newly created folder in our VS Code. Just like I will move to desktop. On the desktop I have folder weather app. Okay, perfect. After that we will open terminal with control backtick, and you can also open from the top bar nav. So in this terminal we will create our Vite project, React project with Vite. Just like a Vite is a package manager to execute the dependencies packages in short time. So we will run the command npm create Vite. So it will start working. First of all, it will ask the project name, just like in my case is weather app. You can write any name which you want. Enter. We will choose the framework React. For the programming we will use JavaScript, and dependencies we will install later. I am going with a no. So our project is ready. You can check here. So we will change the directory to this folder, just like a cd weather app, and in this folder we will install the dependencies. So we will run npm I. So it will start processing again, and that will create a dependencies folder, and all the dependencies which are required for this React app will be installed in that. Okay, dependencies are installed. Next we need to install Tailwind CSS. So you can type the command just like a npm I -D Tailwind CSS @Tailwind CSS /Vite. So we are installing Tailwind and Tailwind CSS plugin. So just type the enter. So it will start installation process again, and now it will install both Tailwind and their dependencies. So both are installed. We can make sure from the package.json. So here we have plugin, And also you can see, so we Vite and Tailwind CSS is also installed here. So that's it for installation. These are the three commands and we are ready to code. Now it's time to hook up Tailwind with our project. We will open vite.config.js file and need to add a Tailwind plugin here. First of all, we will import the Tailwind plugin. Import Tailwind plugin from Tailwind CSS and add it to the plugins array Tailwind CSS. So that's all for the Tailwind CSS. Now we'll open src index.css file and delete everything, select all and remove and replace with a single line which is import Tailwind Tailwind CSS. Okay. After that, we will also delete the app.css file. We won't need any CSS files. Everything is Tailwind CSS classes. So that's why we are going to delete app.css file also. Now it's time to spin up the server. So in the terminal, we will run the command npm run dev. So on the runtime, we are facing an error. So the error is relevant to vite.config.js file. Just we try to install the Tailwind with this plugin. So we'll move to the vite.config.js file. In that file, so the issue is here. So we this is a plugin. So we have to use to make the alias just like with the at the rate, and with the alias the package we are using was Tailwind for the Vite plugin. So we have to import this. So after that we will try to again the spin up the server. So npm run dev. So now our server is working. So just we will move to the our browser. So type the localhost 5173. So we have one more error. So in the app.css file, just we delete the app.css file and which was being used in the app.jsx. So in the app.jsx there is an import which we have to also remove. Yeah. So that's it. So now our app is working. So in the app.js we have already pre-styled two sections. We have to delete all of them. Just we will build all things from the scratch. So that's all, and our screen is blank. So that's it. Before we write any React code, let's get our API key from the Open Weather map. So in the browser, we will search for Open Weather API Key. So so you can sign up for free and grab your API key from the dashboard. Just I have already signed up and logged in also. Just I will click on the profile section, and in the profile I have API key. So I will click on. So here is my API key. If you sign up for first time, maybe there will be no API key. So you can just generate by hitting this button. So in my case, I will copy this API key and move toward the VS Code. Now create a env file in your project root directory. Just like just this is outside the src. I will create a dot env. So this is also called environment variable files. So in the env file, we will create a variable with Vite. So if we will not write the Vite, so the this React will not expose the variable inside env file. So just like for open weather, we will use shortcut open weather map underscore API underscore key. So we will replace this with our API key. This is a dummy one. Okay, that's it for env. So now all things are ready. So just you can make sure one thing, just the important message here. uh, we never try to commit this file so to our GitHub. So we have to make sure to add in the get ignore section. So in the get ignore section, just I will type dot env because this is a sensitive file and we can't expose this file. Just for the video purpose, I am exposing this API. After the video, I will delete this. All right.
Now the fun part and the major part, let's start coding. I always like to build the data layer first before any UI. So we will create a hook folder inside the src and call a file useWeather.js hooks, and inside file will be useWeather.js. This custom hook will handle all our API calls. Let's start by importing use state and setting up our constants. So first constant will be API key, which we will import from the env file. Okay, now we have two API endpoints, one for the current weather and one for the 5 days forecast. The weather endpoint will take a city name, and the forecast one will take the latitude and longitude to fetch the values. So both endpoints we can get from the OpenWeather API documentation. Now let's create the hook function with our state variables. Our first state will be weather data. So weather stores the current weather response which we will get from the API. Second one will be for the forecast, which will store the 5 day forecast details. And third one will be loading state to show the spinner on UI screen whenever we will waiting for the response. Fourth one will be error state, so holds any error message to display. Now it's time to write the fetch function. This is the main logic also. We will call it fetch weather. So we will start by checking if the city is empty. If so, do nothing. Then we set the loading state to true and clear any previous errors state. So the fetch URL has a few query params that is like we will pass in with pass a city name. So we use encode URI component to handle spaces and special characters. And unit metric give us Celsius instead of Kelvin value to show on the screen. Now let's handle the response. If the city name doesn't exist, the API return a 404. We will show a friendly error on the UI screen. Otherwise, we will parse the JSON and save it to state. Okay, we will get latitude and longitude from the fetch weather response. So we try to destructure latitude and longitude. This is the ES6 feature, and pass them to the forecast endpoint. So this will give us a 40 data points, 8 per day, and for 5 days. And here the part we will handle the response. If there is any error, we will throw an error. Means if the response of the forecast URL is not okay. And after that, we will successfully convert into the JSON and set the data to the state. So in the catch block, we will save the error and clear any old data state. The finally block always runs. It turns off loading whether it success or failed, and we return everything to the UI needs, just like a data, states, and the fetch function. That's our entire data layer. So let's building the UI now. In the UI layer, we will create first of all this search and with a button. So user can type the city name, and for the icon, we will use the listed React icons. So which will go to the guide section. In their guide section, there is install section, and there is a command to install on React. Okay, so we will copy this command from here. After copy, we will move toward our VS Code file. So in a new terminal, so here we will paste the command and hit the enter button. That's it. This is the pnpm, so we are using npm. So we'll make sure to copy the npm command. We'll go again to guide section, install. So here is the npm section. So we'll copy the command again. We'll move again to VS Code and replace the previous command with new one. And now we'll hit the enter button. So installation process is working. So after successfully install, we will now move toward the UI part to create the input and search button. Let's create the component folder and start with the search box, or you can say search bar. So inside our src, we will create a folder components, and inside call a component search bar dot jsx. Okay, in this component now we will create the UI part. So this is a simple search component as we see in the UI. So it will be a just single input and a button. So first of all, we will import the state and a search icon from the lucid icon, which I will just before show you. And after that, this component will take two props. One will be on search to fetch the weather function, and second one will be loading state to disable the button. So after that, we have a local state for the input value and a handle submit that will prevent from refresh and call our own search with the city name, because JavaScript by default behavior is that it always refresh the form. So now let's write the JSX part. We will add a search icon inside the input. So before that, we will create a form on which we will bind the on submit handler and style. So here the form is centered with the max width MD and max auto classes. So now let's create the input part. Our input will be just like a glass morphism look, like a little bit background white. So it will just like give us semi transparent white background. On the input we will apply padding left almost 40 pixels to make a space for the search icon. So here we have bind the state value with our input, in which we will set our value on change. Now let's show the placeholder on the input, just like enter your city name or type your city name. Now here the classes. So to style input, so this is not a CSS class, or you can just follow with me the classes. Now let's style the button. The button is just like a open weather API theme color, just like it will be orange color, matching the open weather map theme. So we have bind with disable value. So when API is we're fetching the data, then we will make sure the button will be disabled. We will not call the API again until the previous response. Or for the handle the disability, we will just like to show the button is not clickable. We will also update the UI. So search bar is done. Let's build the weather card next. First of all, we will call the weather card component inside the component folder. This component shows the current weather after search. Let me quickly show you what the API response looks like, so we can understand what we are working with. So in the API document section, if you just like, we will start from the home. We will move towards the weather APIs, API documents. There is a current and forecast section. So if we scroll down here, there will be endpoint. We are calling with the city name. So endpoint is this one. Okay, the response will be just like this one. So we will use the main section, visibility, wind, and this system information to show the current card detail. Okay, now let's move toward the VS Code. Let's first of all we will create our functional component with the name weather card, and we will receive the data in a prop, and after that we will destructure the response object to get the each piece of data. So this weather is an array. We grab the first item for icon, code, and description from the array. So in this array, the code will be just like 04D map, and after the description, let's build the card layout. It has a top section and detail strip at the bottom. So our card will be just like look our input color, just like gloss morphism effect, and will be a backdrop blur on MD. So on the left section, we will show the city name and description. First of all, we will create the structure here to show on the screen with appropriate HTML tags. So in the H2 we will show the city name, and in the P tag we will show the description. So after that, in the center, the weather icon next to a big temperature number will show. So here we will show the temperature value, and to round off the value we will use the math object math.round, because the API gives us decimal lags like 18.53, 54, somehow value. Nobody want to see that, so we'll remove the decimal part with math.round. On the right, we show the high and low temperature. So these are our high and low temperature values. So here we are also using math.round to round off the value. Okay, now let's add the details stats at the bottom. For responsiveness, we will use the grid, just like a two columns on mobile and four columns on the desktop. So retail is a small helper component, just show the label and value. Uh, so after that, we will convert the visibility from the meters to kilometer by dividing by 1000. Okay, that's the weather card done, looking good. Now let's tackle the forecast. So here just like we will not creating a separate for the details. So here we are creating our details component. So after that we will move in the separate section. First of all, we will add a file inside the component folder called forecastcard.jsx. So in this file, we will show the forecast detail. So we will use the API endpoint. Just like again, we move documentation. So in the documentation, there is a 5 days and 3 hour forecast section. So there is the first one, this endpoint we are going to use for the forecast detail. Okay. So here have documentation for the response, but let's check the response first. Okay. So these are the few details here we can see. So let's start building. Okay. First of all, we will make sure the card name just like will be forecast card. So in this card, we will also again show send data by prop, and after that we will use the import it's like a use memo. So use memo hook will be memorize the values. So we will make sure to optimize the app instead of rendering component again and again. So if the value will be changed, we will again render the component. Otherwise, we will not render. Okay, so here the completion value we are going to calculate here. So group by day is a function, and after that, let's build the UI part. So API will give the timestamps in the second. We will multiply by 1000 because JavaScript use just like a millisecond. So we have always need to convert them into second. So here is the label, just like a 5 days forecast. So here again, just like I will show a background with like our input and weather card component. So daily forecast variable will return an array. So we have to map all the values, just like we start in start we mentioned. So there will be almost just like 40 items. So we have to map all of them, just like a key component, just like a key attribute to make sure the React can identify the item in the DOM. For display the label, we format it nicely, just like value will be Friday, March 15, Friday, just like a Friday, April, this value, and Thursday value, this value. So we have to nicely format the value. Okay, here is our component R slot we will create after this component. So in which we are passing just like a two props, just like it's in the key and second one is the item value. So API give us the Unix timestamp in seconds. So we again here multiply by 1000 to convert them in seconds. So each slot show the time, a small weather icon, temperature, description, humidity, and wind. So let's grab the icon from the array. After that, we will make sure that here will be destructure or will get the description from the rendered item. Okay, now let's start building the UI part. Again, the look will be just like a previous cards we have built for the weather card and input. So here in the p tag we are showing the time. For icon we will use the image tag and pass the source here. So after that we'll write the main forecast component that uses both of them. So in this component, we wrap a group by day in use memo. So it only recalculate the value when the data actually changes. And the card uses divide by to put subtle lines between the day and sections. Each day show its label in orange, then a horizontally scoreable row for the R slot. So there will be multiple items. So there we will make sure the overflow X auto on the flex container enable the horizontal scroll and the forecast UI is done. Let's write everything together in the app.js after that. This is the final group by function we are planning here. Okay, that's it for the forecast. So now it's time to compile or combine all the thing in the app.js.
Now let's connect all our pieces in the main component. This is the point where everything comes together. All our previous global components, we will combine all the components here. So first of all, we'll create each and everything from the app component, and we'll create from scratch a app component. Okay, after that we need a use weather hook which we create. So to one call, use weather hook gives everything is like a data, loading state, error, and the function to fetch the weather details. After that we will start building the JSX part. So here we will create the return, and every component return a single parent div. So this parent div will be cover all our background, so it will be just like a diagonal gradient using three dark navy colors, just like a open weather map color background theme. You can check also on the website. So here we will create first the header component. This will behave like a top nav. After the header, we will create a div to align the elements inside the header. So after that, we will create a logo. For that, we will use an image. So here I am using one of the open weather maps on weather icon. This is a global URL. Just I will pass in the source. So if we just copy the URL and hit in the browser, it will return an icon. So after the image, we will create a app title, just like it will be also in the color of orange to match the open weather map brand. Look like similar. Okay. After this, we will call our first global component search bar, in which we will pass detail by prop, just like we have to fetch on search the weather details, and we have to pass the loading state. So here will become our search bar component. First of all, we have to import dot slash component search bar. Yeah, now we can call it, and we have to pass just like a on search and loading props. So here comes the conditional part. So just like there are multiple sections which we only have to show when its condition is true. First is error state. So if there is something goes wrong on the backend side or any other edge case, we will show an error on the screen, just like a city not found and whatever the case, or maybe internet was not doing good. So in that scenarios we have to show the error because API will be failing. So the error will be we get from the backend side. So just like we have to store already stored in the use weather hook, just we will pass the value here. So after that we have to use the weather data. if weather data exists, we render the weather card. So first of all, we have to import the weather card from the components folder. So here we will also pass props like a weather details, and after that we will make sure goes for the 5 days forecast component. So here we will also pass the data just like a forecast and make it should be rendered conditional. Just like if forecast detail exists, then we have to show the forecast component, otherwise no need to show the component. So in other cases we can handle by the skeleton and multiple other scenario. Just like we have just make sure we will not render the component if the data is not exist. So after that, let's suppose no current detail exists, no forecast detail exists, then we have to show an empty state. So we have to do nothing, just like a no data, no errors, no loading. So we show a friendly empty state with we can show a message like a similar in the paragraph. Okay, that's all for right now. So now it's time to test our app. So my server is already running. I will make sure to close the server by Control C and clear everything, and here run the command npm run dev. So we can test on local host 5173. So here just I will refresh. So this is the app we have created. Okay, now it's time to test this app. We will type a city names like a London and enter. So there is a failed weather data. Let's check why. We will go to inspect. In their network tab there will be definitely an error. Again hit the search button. So this is returning, okay, our app id is missing. So I will make sure we have a correct map id. So first thing I have seen, there will be no need to semicolon. So yes, we have to update the env file to make sure restart your server again. Okay, after that just like we will move again and refresh the app London. Okay, something is not right still. The app id is still missing. So maybe this name is not correct where we are using. It's like a use weather. So make sure this name will be same. Again copy, Control C, and in use weather hook. Okay, after that now there no need to restart server because we have make the changes in the use weather hook. So DOM is already up to date. So refresh it again London and press the enter button. Okay, now it's working. I think so our variable name was not correct. Perfect. So here we have right now the current weather details and 5 days forecast details. So the app is working, but right now we have to work on the progressive web application. So we have to make sure the user can install it on their mobile and desktop screens like this will be behaved native app. So in the next part we will work on the progressive web application. To create a progressive web app, we need three things: a manifest file, a server worker, and some metadata tags. So let's start with the manifest file. We will create a file in the public folder called manifest. Manifest.json. Okay. This manifest file tells the browser about our app, its name, its color, icon, and how to display it. So display standalone means it open without the browser bar. Looks like a React native or native application. So first of all, we have described a short description. We can skip, but it's compulsory or okay if we are describing that. After that, the theme color, set the status bar color or mobile to our orange to make sure just like our theme color. So after that, we'll need to create a icon SVG in the public folder too. So here are the few icons to support the native app. Okay, now it's time to create the server worker. This will handle the offline to catch the data response, API response, and the user events. First of all, we will create a file in the public folder sw.js. So inside that, we will define all our JavaScript code to handle the cache of the progressive web application. So our service worker has three events: install, active, and fetch. So install will run once and cache our all app in a shell. So active will clean up our old cache when we deploy a new version. And third one will be fetch. This is the understanding one. It intercept every network request. So just like we will enter any city name, or it will hit the event for that to fetch the data. So first of all, we here are declaring the install step. So this will be the first event user will trigger, and after that will be active to clean the cache. Okay, third one will be the fetch. So this event will be triggered on every city name search to show the details like a current weather detail and the forecast details. So make sure internet will be stable when we are working with a progressive web application and at the time we are trying to fetch the data. Okay, now last one to add the meta tags in the HTML. So let's move in the index.html file. This one is the index.html file outside the src. So here we will define just few metadata. So just like we have to, just like one will be the first of all we have to link with the manifest file. Here I am adding few metadata details. First one we have link with the manifest file. Second one will be a theme color which we are defining here, and there is a metadata description for the app. After that we can format. Okay, that's it for the index.html file. Now it's time to create a custom hook to install the progressive application, because browser can show its own install prompt but we want a custom button. Let's create first of all a file inside the hooks folder. Inside the hooks folder, creating a files like a called use install progressive application.js file. So this custom hook will capture the browser install event, and the component name, the custom hook name just like will be use install progressive application. After that we will import the use state and use effect from the React library. Use state to hold the value of the prompt, and use effect will be execute on the runtime to detect the before install prompt event. So we will store the value inside the use state, and after in the use effect we will detect the before install prompt. So after that we can trigger the event when we want, when just like a user will be click on the button. So the browser file fires up before install prompt event when the app meets the progressive web application criteria, and we interrupt it with the prevent default to stop the default browser banner. We have saved the event object so we can trigger it later from our on button. Okay, the async install function will call the prompt to show the native install dialog. After the user accept, we set the prompt to null, which hide our button. And now the return part. So can install will be a boolean value, just like a true when the browser is ready to install. And now it's time to update the app.js. Add the import at the hook call at the top of the file. Inside the app.jsx. So first of all, we will add the import and we'll destructure the values, just like a can install and user can install event. Okay, after that we will add a custom button at the bottom of the file after the empty state value. Here this will be our custom button on which we are calling an on click event and triggering a event which is the custom hook. So one thing, we have to make the server worker in functional state. So we'll add a main.js file which we need to some modifications. So in the main.js file we will add a object, so server worker. It will trigger the load event and load the server.js file. So we'll move toward the browser. On the browser we can refresh it once. Okay, so here we have an install app button and user will click on the install button. Here a dialog prompt on install. This application is just like a progressive application. Now user can add or use just like a normal application. So let's the API London. So here the weather details, just like this will be the error case, city not found. Okay, yeah, this is working. And that's the complete weather app. Let's recap what we built. A React app with Vite and Tailwind CSS, a custom useWeather hook that fetched the current weather and 5 days forecast, a search bar with a control input and search icon, a weather card show the temperature, city and weather states, and a forecast card that grouped 3 hours forecast by a day with horizontal scrolling, and a full progressive application support. Install work offline, has a custom install button also, and that's it. So if you find this helpful, like and subscribe, drop a comment if you have any question. See you in the next one.